Welcome. It is the very first episode of our podcast, Pets Add Life. And today on the show, we're going to talk about dream dates with rescue dogs. And you're going to find out who Chris Bonifati is and who I am, Kristen Levine.
Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and DOGTV.
We're finally here, Chris, our first show.
Yeah, the first one. First of many, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is Pets Add Life, the podcast. And I'm Kristen Levine. And my cohort here is Chris Bonifati. So let's just give a short background on us. I've been in the pet industry for over 30 years. I've been educating about pet parenting for a long time on my blog, Pet Living. How about you, Chris? Where do you come from?
I've been involved for about 9 years now. I got involved in the pet industry pretty much straight out of college, so it's been my entire career. I work for APPA and Global Pet Expo. I get to meet a ton of interesting pet brand owners and pet retailers and pet parents. So I'm hoping to bring some of their stories to light in this beautiful audio and video format.
Absolutely. And this show is for you guys, the pet parents. So we're going to share stories with you to inspire or make you laugh. We're going to share our must-have or must-try products with you that you might not know about. And we're also going to have some really great guests come on the show.
Yeah, and we're hoping we make you laugh along the way a little bit too.
Yeah, we want to earn your 5-star review.
Yeah, and I'm willing to work for a 5-star review. So if you have any questions or comments already, I know we're only at the intro, but if you are already wondering and have burning questions, be sure to submit them so that we can answer them. We're going to get to some of those questions towards the end of the episode.
Kristen and Chris present Storytime.
So I'm going to start with my story. You don't know anything about my story, and I don't know about yours. So we like to kind of keep that surprise element going. I think I teased it in the open. It's a story about dream dates for dogs. So I came across the story on the Dodo yesterday. Do you know about the Dodo?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very familiar with the Dodo.
Yeah, great, heartwarming pet stories on the Dodo.
Yep. And
they started these episodes, these short video episodes. They're only like 5 minutes each. And they've paired celebrities like Scarlett Johansson and Antonia Porowski. They pair them with rescue dogs, and the celeb has to plan a dream date for the rescue dog. And so they meet up and they show you the whole day, how they spend the day together. Like Scarlett Johansson's was with a rescue pitty named Ocean, and she took Ocean for a spa day, and she got a massage, she got a bath, she had some play dates. But what's really cool about this is that the stories are shared on Scarlett Johansson's massive social following. They're shared on the Dodo, which is also a massive platform. And of course, the shelters and rescues involved promote that pet is looking for adoption. So it's a really great way to highlight pet adoption and get these pets home. So a good use of a celebrity's time, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. What do I have to do to earn a spa day with Scarlett Johansson? Somebody let me know. I was scouring the web as well for my story. And for the first episode, I wanted to find something positive and fun, and that'll make everybody feel good. So through The Independent, I saw a story about a Pennsylvania animal shelter, the Adams County SPCA. They've been open for 47 years. So and it's been run by the same people. 47 years is a long time to commit yourself to, helping stray animals find new homes. And for the first time in 47 years, they have run out of animal adoptions. All of the animals in their SPCA have been adopted. They said, the owner said 2 weeks ago, our kennels were almost filled. Now we don't have any dogs in the building at all. Our last cat came in as a stray a little bit ago, but has already been promised to a new family. So what an incredible story. I always encourage people, adopt, don't shop, look around for ways that you could rescue or foster. And with your help, we could have even more stories like this.
Oh, I love that one. That's great. I wonder, did they do any special promotion to empty out the shelters or?
No, they said that they actually became quite overwhelmed. I think sometimes things just click and things start going right. There's sometimes no rhyme and reason to it at all. And I'm sure that within their community, there have been steps taken to lower the number of strays. I mean, that's the best way to help animals is, make sure your animals are fixed, and ensure that they're being housed properly and things like that. So sometimes it's just a two-pronged assault, I suppose, where you're lowering the number of animals that need help and increasing the number of families willing to take a new pet in. I think it's really inspiring. And if anybody ever has free time, your local SPCA, I could almost guarantee they're looking for volunteers. So look into that if you feel like lending a hand.
Absolutely. Hey, that's where I got my start in my pet career. I worked for the SPCA of Tampa Bay for 15 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Promoting pet adoption and
already learning so much about you.
Okay. Well, let's jump into our first guest. I love this guy. He is a great asset to the pet industry. And I think our listeners are going to really be interested to learn more about what he's doing with his organization. His name is Steve Feldman. He's the president of the Human Animal Bond Research Institute, or HABRI for short. And HABRI, basically, they fund scientific research on the positive impacts that pets have on human health and well-being. And I met up with him recently in San Diego, so check out our chat.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
I am excited to introduce you to our very first guest on the podcast, Steve Feldman from HABRI, which stands for Human Animal Bond Research Institute. Welcome, Steve.
I am so honored to be the first guest.
How did you score the first interview?
Well, I can tell you why. It's because pets had life.
Yes.
And that's not just a feeling. There's actual science behind it.
That's true.
HABRI does the scientific research to show why pets had life, why they're good for our mental health, why they're good for our physical health. Right. So it's really all about the bond.
Yeah.
And what a great way to kick this off.
Exactly. And I'm so excited to talk to you about this. So I think we're all of us pet parents, we're familiar with the human animal bond and what it means to us. But when did we actually start recognizing it and researching it?
Well, those are two questions, right?
Okay,
because when did we start recognizing it? I'm going to say 30,000 years ago, when we first started taking, dogs into our lives.
Yep.
We helped them survive.
Mm-hmm.
They helped us survive, and so we began this love affair between pets, and then of course cats.
Yes.
You can't look at ancient Egypt or places like that where cats were revered, and so we've had these animals in our lives for a long time, and that's really the origins of the bond.
Yeah.
Now, we started studying it probably, back in the 70s and 80s, but it's really picked up lately. The number of academic centers, the number of places that are studying the human-animal bond has exploded. And because we give out research money, we've seen a real increase in the quality and number of places that are submitting for grants to study this.
That's fantastic. Now, we're coming to you today from the Pet Industry Leadership Summit, and I heard you give an update earlier for the industry, and I wanted to ask you some specific questions around that. For example, what are you working on now that is going to help improve the lives of pets and people in the very near future?
Well, we're really focused on research with impact. So I'll give you an example. We just had published a study we funded at the University of Georgia, which placed foster cats with older people living alone.
Okay.
So guess what happened? The mental health improved for the humans.
Right.
The loneliness scores went down, so people were less lonely. They had better mental health, and it was great for the cats. Yeah. Almost everyone in the study ended up adopting the foster.
And why does that not surprise us, right?
Right. So think about what that means. If we could really help with the epidemic of loneliness, especially affecting older Americans.
Right.
If we could help clear out the shelters by getting more foster cats into those homes, we can help both the people and the pets. And if we could scale that up, just think about what a difference that would make.
Right. And I think I heard you say, wasn't it something like if there was 2% more foster homes for these animals, for these cats, we could eradicate the, feline population.
That's right. We could get rid of unnecessary euthanasia in shelters.
Right.
And we could make a lot of people happier and healthier.
That's awesome. So what kind of therapies or interventions are gaining more acceptance now, are really starting to get traction due to some of your research?
Well, one of the things I'm really proud of, I think we're all really proud of, is service dogs for veterans with post-traumatic stress. For a long time, the Veterans Administration wouldn't support these programs. They said there wasn't enough evidence. So we went out and funded some of the most important research showing the benefits of service dogs for veterans. And then Congress passed legislation appropriating $10 million so that they could fund more service dogs for these veterans. So that's life-saving, and it's based on the research that we did. So I'm really proud of that.
And how many years has it been since that started?
Well, the research was 2018.
Okay, so very recent.
The legislation passed in 2021.
Right.
And now we're seeing those dogs getting out there and helping people. A lot of the private organizations have waiting lists, and if we can help people get these dogs sooner, we can really save lives.
Sure. So talk to us a little bit about how, for the average pet parent watching or listening, how can we benefit from HABRI's research? And second question, how can we get involved?
Well, we are a nonprofit. The Human Animal Bond Research Institute is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We happily accept donations, so that's an easy way to get involved. So many organizations like the American Pet Products Association, which is one of our founding organizations, help keep us going. So many folks in the pet industry are helping us do this research, but I think the public can help too. Yeah. And one of the other things really is to just go to HABRI.org, look at the research and share it.
Yes.
People are always looking for great things to put on their social media.
Right.
Pets are the most popular.
Right.
But why not put a little data, some facts in there too, showing why pets are good for us. And here's the secret sauce. When people know that pets are good for them and that there's science behind it, they'll actually take better care of their pets.
That's incredible. And I love that. I love that suggestion. If you're looking for something to put on social media, go to HABRI.org, HABRI.org, and post something positive and uplifting about pets. Spread the word about the incredible research database that you all have. And we're going to make the world a better place with your help for pets and people.
Pets Add Life. That's what we're all about.
That's right. Thank you so much for being our first guest, Steve.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll see you in a bit.
Pets Add Life.
It really was a pleasure to hear from Steve Feldman, and HABRI is near and dear to my heart. It's one of the things that APPA helps fund. I'm a firm believer in science and the scientific method. Being able to measure things like the positive effect that pets have on our livelihood. It's something we all feel, but is so difficult to measure. So thank you, Steve, for joining us and providing that context for all of the listeners at home.
Yeah, you can find out more at HABRI.org too, if you want to learn more or donate. So what we do here on the Pets Add Life podcast is we feature two different guests. So this next guest, Chris, I believe you work with her.
That is true.
She is the esteemed Dr. Kerry O'Hara, PhD. She's the Chief Insights Officer at the American Pet Products Association. And, data and psychology geeks are going to love this because Kerry is going to dig into the spending analytics and the consumer behavior. And with her background in psychology, she can tell us how and why we make the pet decisions we make and the products that we purchase, just because she kind of knows how that all works. So again, I saw her in San Diego recently, and here's our chat.
Beyond the Leash, exploring the untold stories of pet passion and professionalism.
I am so excited for you all to meet my guest. First of all, let me tell you that we are coming to you from the Pet Industry Leadership Summit in sunny Coronado, and I'm joined by Dr. Kerry O'Hara. And hello, Dr. Kerry.
Hello.
And you have such an incredible job with the American Pet Products Association.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So I am Chief Insights Officer at the American Pet Products Association. It's a brand new role that was created last year so that we can elevate to the intelligence of the pet industry at the American Pet Products Association. So very excited to join with you today.
Well, I'm grateful that you had the time to chat with us today.
Excellent.
Before we get into the business of our discussion, I would like for you to tell me about your precious puppies.
Oh, my puppies. Well, my puppies are not really puppies. They're going to be 3 years old. There's two of them. They're sisters. They're from the same litter. One is Cassandra, and the other is Zoe. and they are 105 pounds each. My little mutt babies. So they're Great Dane boxer mixes. They're just love bugs, and they are both very, very, very certain that they are lap dogs. So they
big
think
lap dogs.
They're big lap dogs. So they're about the same size as me. So they just sit right down on my lap, and you can't even see me anymore. But those are my babies.
Well, you light up when you talk about them.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk business a little bit here. Yeah. You are the Chief Insights Officer.
Yes.
And what I'd like for you to help the audience understand is, how does what you do with the American Pet Products Association, how does that relate to us as pet parents?
That's a really great question. So one of the things that we are dedicated to doing at the American Pet Products Association is to increase the intelligence of the pet owning community. And part of that is highlighting the benefits of pet ownership, similar to what other industries and other organizations do inside of our industry. But it's also to educate pet owners and people who surround the pet owners, like veterinarians and organizations, to help grow this industry. One of our key initiatives is not just to educate the intelligence of the community, but to help the community thrive. Right. We're really interested in helping this community thrive.
Right.
And the first way of doing that is to highlight the incredible things that happen, the decisions that millions of pet owners make on a daily, weekly, hourly basis to enrich the lives of their pets and our industry as a whole.
Excellent. That's a great explanation. So tell us, what are some of the trends in the past 5 years? Let's go there first. Yeah. What are some of the trends in the pet industry that are meaningful?
That's a really good question. Well, think about what's happened in the past 5 years.
A lot.
I mean, we've had a little thing called COVID, right? So specific to the last 5 years, what we've seen is since 2019, which is our pre-COVID period, or 2018, we have certain behaviors, certain preferences, ways of shopping, learning, all that kind of thing that really changed significantly when COVID happened. Mm-hmm. Industry closures were systematic across the board. People had to pivot their behaviors. So new behaviors emerged. And then now that we're out of the what we call the post-COVID recovery era, we're really starting to see which of those COVID behaviors that caused pivots in pet owner behaviors, which persisted, and which ones have gone away for good. So it's been a really interesting place at the APPA to really unpack what some of those pivots have been, and which ones came back with a vengeance. Right.
Yeah, I think we can all remember. We all have stories in our minds about pet care during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
And, as we're going to learn, I'm sure there are some positive things that came out of those pivots, and of course some not so positive or not so convenient things. Right. Okay, so what trends, are there any trends, because you spend your time digging through the data all the time, are there trends that would surprise the average pet owner?
Well, I think that there are three main trends that we're tracking, I would say, at this point, and they really have to do with these post-COVID pivots that we're seeing. But the first and the foremost, I think, and maybe what might be most surprising for pet owners, because when you're just with Cassandra and Zoe at home, you're not thinking about the largesse of our industry. But the pet industry, since at the APPA we've been tracking it for a very long time, industry expenditure has been strong and will continue to be very strong for the foreseeable future. We've been tracking industry expenditures since 2009, and we're projecting out to 2030. It's going to be almost a $300 billion industry by 2030. Wow. And that's in some sectors maybe a conservative estimate that's very similar to what Morgan Stanley released last year with their economic forecasts. So that's
only 6 years away.
No, it's only 6 years away. I know, isn't that crazy? We're talking about 2030. It's only 6 years away. But I mean, that's one thing, is that we even during the depths of the recessions of 2008 to 2014, post-recession recovery, and then you had COVID happen, and then post-COVID happen. Even through all of that, the CAGRs, the compound annual growth rates that we've been tracking during that time in this industry have remained very stable and steady over time, and not just explained by inflationary indices, but really because of preferences that people make about how they choose to spend their dollars. So that's one big thing. Mm-hmm. The second big thing is that I think might be kind of surprising to people is that, and I know especially with our generation, because I'm a Gen Z pet owner, and Gen X pet owner, and for the first time what we're seeing is that Gen Zs and millennials have equaled the number of Xers and boomers in terms of pet ownership. So for the first time, we're really seeing kind of a younger emergence of pet owner dominate our industry. And we're going to continue to see that because we're not even considering Gen Z hasn't really even aged into the category yet. And they've already equaled the number of Xers and boomers as pet owners. So we'll have to watch out for Zs from here on out, because I think they're going to be a very formidable group of pet owners. And the third one, which is also driven by younger pet owners, is that multi-pet households over time have increased significantly, mostly driven by younger pet owners. Really? So what we're seeing as younger pet owners, specifically millennials and Zs, are true multi-pet believer households, much more than older generations. So it's surprising, and it's a great kind of foreshadowing of our community, because if you think about even as the percentage of U.S. households that maybe owns a pet remains kind of steady over time, we're projecting to be very steady over time. Multi-pet households are only increasing and increasing and increasing.
And that's great news for the industry.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. So it's great news all around.
Fantastic. And that kind of leads into my last question, which is about predictions or projections of what we might expect our industry to look like in 3 to 5 years, especially, with the impact that the Gen Zs are making.
Oh, yes. That's another great question. So, more to come. We are having our State of the Industry that we are for 2024 and beyond that we're highlighting at Global Pet Expo in March, which will include projections updated projections to 2030. But one thing that we're seeing right now, which is driven by younger pet owners, is that the way that they learn about, the way they become aware of, the way that they want to shop, the way that they believe in subscriptions for pet products. All of these things that younger pet owners are doing is so much different than what older pet owners are doing. And the emergence of social media as specifically TikTok, as a medium by which they want to learn about pet products. They want to learn about brands. Brands are also much more important to these younger generations than they were to Xers and to boomers. And so things like brand becomes important, and things like having a social media presence becomes very important. Being able to integrate it in a omni-channel presence, understanding that they're probably going to do research online or through social media, and then maybe follow it up with a conversation with their veterinarian or something. So really understanding how omni-channel works with products and services is going to become even more important as we learn more and more about how Gen Z really wants to engage with our industry.
Yeah, well, if we could get into a time machine, it would be really fun to fast forward 50 years and see how millennials and Gen Z have changed the life of pets and pet ownership. I'm sure it's just going to be incredibly amazing and very good for our pets, I'm sure.
Very good for our pets. And we'll see it unraveling real time, right?
Yeah, you can watch it.
I mean, they are aging every year. Well, we're going to see more Zs come into our category, and they are exerting their influence as pet owners in their preferences. And so everything, as I said, and how they shop and how they learn and all that kind of stuff is going to have to, it's going to have to evolve.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it'll be fun to watch. Dr. Kerry, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be very excited watching the work that you do and see what comes out of it. And thank you for doing the work.
It was a pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you later.
It's really always interesting to hear Kerry speak. She brings such a unique perspective to things. I think in our day-to-day life, we don't think too much about aggregate data and the way it shapes business and the economy and the decisions we make. But that's the world that Kerry lives in daily. And so being able to hear some of her insights, I'm sure may have impacted some people's decision making, even because when you become aware of the decisions that you make, it even changes your behavior. So thanks, Kerry, for joining us. It's always interesting to hear you speak.
I think I'm going to start running some of my decisions by her before I make them.
That's smart. She's incredibly intelligent and wise.
The product of the week.
All right, Chris, this is one of my favorite parts of the show, sharing our product ideas.
Yeah.
So mine this week is very low tech, but very high function.
Okay.
It's called, and it's great for bonding with your pet. So it's this tool called hands-on gloves. And what these are they're like nylon gloves that you put on, and they have these little rubber nubs on the inside of your palm and fingers. And they're you can use them to groom your pet, and any pet with hair. So it could be dog, cat, horse, rabbit, whatever. Use them to groom, to massage, to like de-shed. So they're multifunctional, and my dog and cat would always come running when I would get the gloves out, because it just meant it was time for like that soothing moment of massage and spa kind of feeling. So have you ever seen those?
Now that you mention it, it's like one of those things I forgot existed. And then as soon as you said they're gloves you put on, I've definitely seen them before. And now I'm thinking I might need them.
Yeah, well, the hands-on brand is the actually original. The guy that developed, I forget his name, but he's a really cool guy. He developed these things. He started out with horses, so he found that they were a really handy way to groom and de-shed the horse, and of course they work for any animal. And my husband likes when I like rub his head with the hands-on gloves. It feels great. But they come in many sizes, so like even your kids could get a pair. They come in like a junior size all the way up to XL, and then they come in cool colors too. But I just think it's a really neat way to, I think we tend to think of, it's time to brush the cat as like kind of maybe a chore, but you pet the cat, you pet your cat all the time. You're sitting there watching TV. She's in your lap. You might be petting her. You put these gloves on, you can do both at the same time.
Yeah. And as a cat owner, I'll tell you this much, trying to get the cat to cooperate with the brush, difficult. But then suddenly it's like, okay, let me pet you. And you got all that hair on your hands. And as somebody with allergies, I don't like that. So I'll be looking into this for sure.
Okay. Awesome.
All right.
So what do you got?
What do you got for me? It's time for
my
product of the week. I went with the theme of sustainability here. So it's a big push in the pet industry to find sustainable ingredients and packaging. And this is a company called the Natural Dog Company that has launched all recyclable plastics in all of their packaging. So 100% of the products that they ship come in 100% recyclable packaging. The company name is the Natural Dog Company. You may be more familiar with them as Tuesday's Naturals. They have natural-based ingredients, organic-based ingredients, but really this 100% dedication to the packaging is what's impressive, because what you end up with when you talk about recycling as a concept, when you have mixed materials, that makes it incredibly difficult to recycle. But oftentimes mixed materials makes for the best packaging. So I love to shout out these companies that are taking what's certainly a financial hit because these materials are more expensive. The packaging needs to be more creative in order to create a product that's not just good for the animal, but also good for the earth. Yeah.
And that's what our pet parents are looking for. Sustainable products.
Absolutely. It's one of the fastest growing trends. And if you're listening at home and want to learn more about sustainability in the pet industry, go do a quick search on your favorite search engine for the Pet Sustainability Coalition. They're really leading the charge in the industry. They'll be at Global Pet Expo, actually, so you may be seeing some more news from them. And stay tuned to learn more about some of these sustainable products. I'm going to try and call them out as I see them come in.
Hey, Chris, I might have missed this, but what kind of products are they? Are we talking like shampoos?
Oh, so they're dog treats. Yeah, they make all sorts of treats
gotcha.
and chews and things like that, specifically for dog. This company specifically. But yes, again, it's that kind of thing where it's a good product for your dog. It's organic, it's natural, but also the packaging is good for the planet. So it's really a great concept on both fronts there.
Love it. Love it. All right, I think it's time to move into our audience Q&A. And
this is my favorite part of the show.
Since this is our first show, we're kind of going down the line of the different segments we do. We have the 2 stories we share. We have great guests. We have the 2 products that we share, and then we kind of wrap things up with our 2 audience questions. So you guys can leave a question for us. You can submit it via audio or just type it into the question box if you visit petsadlife.org/podcast, and we just might select your question.
Q&As.
So, am I going first, or are you going first this time?
I'll go first this time. How about that? So a question for you coming in from Elena out of Austin, Texas. Here's the question. I've recently started working from home and noticed my cat seems more anxious than usual. Do you have any tips for helping pets adjust to having their owners home all day?
Yeah. Well, and I bet, Chris, you experienced this with Tiger during COVID, right? When you were probably away.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And this is something a lot of us have experienced, staying home, working from home when our pets are used to not having us at home. So Elena, I would say a couple of things. Cats are creatures of routine, and they typically don't like it too much when their routine changes. So obviously your routine has changed, meaning her environment has changed. You're home more often. It doesn't mean that she's not happy about that, but she had her routine. So I think that if you can just work to establish the new routine and make sure that she also has plenty of time alone, that she's got a great, warm, comfy place to go if she wants to be alone. Because if you think about it, when you were working away from the home, she had all that alone time. So that might be why she seems a little bit more anxious. And yeah, I think that really goes for a lot of pets, right, Chris? Like dogs too. They're creatures of habit. They know what time feeding time is, even without
Absolutely.
a watch. So
yeah.
So yeah. Do you have anything to add to that? Because you have a cat.
Yeah, I do have a cat, and it's funny that this question came up because as soon as we started recording and I got into my broadcast voice, my cat Tiger, who is usually behind me, just went under the bed as a way of like, quiet, Dad. Hey, come on, what are we doing here? So
why is he talking like that?
Why are you talking like that? So to Kristen's point, I think having a separate space that's theirs and they know is theirs, and you don't really touch. Tiger has a special pillow she likes to lay on, and she also has a blanket near one of our windows. So when it's sunny out, one of those spots is usually nice and sunny so that she can bask. And we try not to interrupt her when she's there. And I'll also understand that when a cat meows, cats don't meow to each other. They meow to people, to humans. So when they're meowing, that's when they want attention. So if you notice that your cat is meowing a lot, they want something from you. They're trying to communicate something to you. And when they're quiet, it usually means leave them alone. Yep.
Good advice. So I have a question for you now, Chris. And this one comes in from Marcus in San Diego. He says, let's see, what does he say? Okay, he says, I'm thinking about adopting a second dog to keep our first dog company. What should we consider to ensure that both dogs get along well? That's a great question. First, love hearing that word adopt. Just absolutely adore that. And second, and the words another dog. Another, yeah. Why not a third? Come on. What are you doing over there? So I think a very important thing to think about is matching energy levels. How does your first dog act? Is it energetic? Is it lazy? Does it go outside a lot? Does it take long walks, short walks? And then try to match that energy. Because what you don't want to end up with is one dog that really likes to walk, and when they go outside, they are moving. They are closing distance. And then one dog that needs to stop and smell everything, right? So really understand your dog's energy, their routine, the things that they like to do, and then do a little research on the types of different breeds and mutts
that create that kind of energy, there are plenty of dogs out there that need homes. So if you can't find the right breed or the right energy initially, just give it some time, because it does matter. Making these decisions are important. You're bringing another life into your home, and you want to make sure that it's working out so that you only have to make that choice once, right? So I would say just figure out, really pay attention to your current dog and think about what their life is like, and try to find a dog who's going to match that. Almost like you're trying to get them hitched, like married, like try and find that acceptable and compatible life partner for them, because that's what you're doing. You are giving your current dog, in theory, a partner for life. So treat it like a marriage.
Yeah. And I would just add to that, once you do all that research and you make the right decision, give both dogs time to adjust. So they don't have to immediately spend time together in the same room. Maybe just introduce them and then give them both their own space, and then just kind of slowly let them spend more time together. Unless they're it's very obvious they love each other. But let them ease into this relationship.
Absolutely. That's great advice, Kristen.
Well, you know what? We've come to the close of our first show already.
Already? Man. Well, listen, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review. If you didn't like the show, leave us a 5-star review, and then tell us in the comments why you didn't like it so that we can improve. If you'd like your question answered, go to petsaddlife.org/podcast. You could record a voice memo, and you may even hear yourself, which I know may be nerve-wracking. So you could also write your question in. You could find us on LinkedIn. You could find Pets Add Life on all sorts of different socials on that page. So be sure to engage with the show in whatever capacity. And thank you so much for listening.
Absolutely. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, Chris.
No. Thank you.
Pets Add Life, your guide to the latest in pet trends, products, and the joy of the human-animal bond, with Kristen Levine and Chris Bonifati, powered by the American Pet Products Association and DOGTV.